Welcome to the Omnia Sol Art Show, the glitch art video talk show hosted by Omnia Sol. Episode the Halloween Special. Featuring Devin Larson.
All right, welcome to the Omnia Sol Art Show. Today I am joined by Devin Larson, also known as DeviantZook on Instagram, for the Halloween special of the Omnia Sol Art Show. Today we are glitching the movie Poltergeist. And Devin is an artist, musician, game designer with BTL Games, also known as Beyond the Limit Games, a virtual gallery creator and curator, and so much more. And I know I'm going to be missing some things because you are an extremely prolific artist. So feel free to fill in any of the gaps.
Oh, well, thank you. So honestly, when I'm like drunk at a bar and someone asks me, what do you do? And I'm like, if it's digital, I do it. Because seriously, that's how I want to be an artist. If there is a digital medium, I want to explore it and I want to learn it. It's just, I don't know. I like cyber stuff. It's always great. I also like to say I like to break things. I always like to break things. That's why glitch art is always so amazing.
Yeah, perfect for this show since this is the glitch art talk show. The whole medium is breaking things apart and putting it back together in an interesting way. With that, I think we can jump into your new project, VISITANT. Is that how you pronounce it right? VISITANT?
I believe so. Yeah. That's
VISITANT. Yeah. VISITANT on Channel 4 by the letters from the Schumann Resonance. And we have had your music on the show in the past, but I'm loving the new album. It is an ambient glitch shoegaze album about a haunted television set. And what can you tell us about the project?
Oh man, so this is like an amalgamation of some of my favorite things. I guess this is more of a YouTube genre of horror than most places I've seen, but like analog horror. Like like the Blue Channel. I can't name them all, but I know there's like 4 major ones. But they're mostly YouTube channels and like ARG websites that look like old 90s and 80s TVs, and they're like terrifying horror based on like analog tech, right? So that's where the album starts. Is that concept, that genre, and then it's definitely got some like personal stuff in it too. Like I definitely wanted like a 90s TV. I wanted the visuals to be like 80s and 90s television. And then for the audio, there's so many great techniques in this. There's AI generated stuff, and then there's like sonification glitch art in it, and so many weird little techniques. But yeah, I'm getting sidetracked and like going in 8,000 different directions because I can go in 8,000 different directions with this project. It's all over the place.
Yeah, so some of the things that it like kind of jumped out to me is I was definitely wondering the influences, which the YouTube horror genre is super interesting. A lot of the more ambient aspects of the album kind of reminds me of the Twin Peaks soundtrack, but specifically The Return, if you've seen that. because of the atmospheric whooshing sounds that I think are, some of it I can tell is like kind of maybe created by like holding up a microphone to like a staticky TV and capturing that. But it reminds me kind of like the atmospheric whooshing, but where Twin Peaks is very much about the woods and the spirits in these woods, this is more kind of ghosts for a more digital age.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm really glad you brought up Twin Peaks because I feel like David Lynch definitely did this with the like soap opera genre. Is kind of twisted on its head and took elements of it and then made his own thing that like not only parodied it, but also like the atmosphere he has in fucking Twin Peaks is insane. Oh, sorry, did I curse? I don't know if I could.
No, you can curse all you want. It's just going on YouTube. Okay. So yeah, you can say
cool.
Yeah, fuck and shit and any other.
Fuck yeah.
The other thing it really reminds me of is which I fall asleep to podcasts a lot, but I always have to set the sleep timer to turn off when the episode is done.
Yeah.
So I don't like wake up confused. But I remember as a kid falling asleep to the radio and waking up in this hypnagogic state, being confused. I remember one song, I forget what band it was, like the one that has that raindrops, Jupiter raindrops or something. Oh. Rain on Jupiter. I think it's like Train or Rush or something. But just waking up to that song and being like very confused in this dreamlike state with the radio kind of influencing the dreams and then coming out of that. And so I'm wondering how much of the project is kind of influenced by dreaming and what is the relationship of the project to earlier art influenced by dreaming, such as surrealism.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. So, I actually have my track list in front of me so I could like be like, where does that start again? So one thing I wanted to do with this album is of course have like a narrative story. And one of the ways I did that was the general progression from like what we conceive as music to noise. And I did that for two reasons. One, the ghosts are being more active, so the TV is getting more screwed up, so it's getting more staticky. And two, it's that exact feeling of you know, you're watching TV in the 90s or whatever, because heaven knows we don't watch TV anymore. It's definitely, yeah, you're right, podcasts, and I watch streamers, and we don't do that anymore. It's kind of crazy. Sorry, getting sidetracked. So it starts out narratively that you are like falling asleep to a TV. So the first two tracks, 2 a.m., 3 a.m., that's when you're falling asleep. And those are relatively normal sounding. Like there's definitely haunting, but they sound like the weather station. They sound like advertisement music. They sound like poppy, be it bit crushed and weird, but they sound normalish. And then around like the track 6 a.m. And Orbs, it starts getting to more of this ethereal, staticky, swooshing, more ghosts are definitely there. And that's kind of where I wanted it to be like, all right, this is that fugue state where you're slightly waking up and you're seeing lights around your room kind of thing. But yeah.
Yes. So most of the song names are assigned hours, where 4 of the songs have more narrative titles, which leads me to think that this is all kind of like taking place in one night of an insomnia or a haunting. And then especially, I think it's the last song, the last song is the Tall Shadows out of the corner of your eye?
Yep, that's the last one.
So, and my immediate thought with that goes to sleep paralysis and the kind of mythology around the Hat Man. And it's such like a funny juxtaposition to me because I find that song to be one of the more like peaceful songs on the album. But anytime you Google Sleep Insomnia or the Hat Man, it's all these like horror stories of this shadowy figure like standing above your bed, lurking at you, like, and you can't move and you can't do anything. So yeah, was curious your kind of thoughts behind that. Like, is like sleep paralysis sort of like an influence on this?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. So actually, the naming there, I was going with sleep paralysis, but more specifically, drug-induced ones. As in like some antidepressants, some antipsychotics. Like if they're not working with the patient's brain right, many of them have like said like in the middle of the night when they like got up to get like water or something, like in the corner of the room they saw like shadow people. Like shadow people is like a big side effect of like people that their medication is kind of screwing them up. But it's also, you're right, like the Hat Man and paranormal things like that there's a crossover so much of like the paranormal world where you see tall shadowy figures and like fugue states that is definitely caused by medication. And it all happens late at night and it's always terrifying. But yeah, that is the big influence for that title track name. You're right, it is a very like more peaceful track. There's not a lot that happens in that one. In fact, that is 3 different static tracks that have different speeds, different pitches, and different fade ins and outs that all correlate to each other. So it still does the swooshing and it still does the dynamic aspects of the rest of the album, but it's just static. It's the end. It's the last haunting of the day. And personally, that was more creepy to me. Like even the track is creepy, but with the juxtaposition of the title, like, I don't know, it gives me a really uneasy sense of like, oh fuck, there's something around the corner.
Let's go ahead and play our first song music video of the night from the letters from the Schumann Resonance off the album Visitant on Channel 4. What song should we go ahead and play first?
I say 4 a.m. 4 a.m. is probably my favorite one.
All right, and this is 4 a.m., and we will be back with you after the music video. That too reminds me of, just talking about like drug induced insomnia and stuff. It reminds me of the relationship to disassociation, and also like occult altered state of consciousness. So like people who talk about astral projection or leaving the body, it's very similar terminology to disassociation, which can be either just its own kind of mental health thing on its own related to different mental illness, or a side effect of, there's a whole classification of drugs like disassociates, such as like ketamine, where people actually, like, a side effect of it is like feeling outside of the body, and like having a near death experience, or thinking that you're having like a near death experience because you feel completely disattached to your body and in this like other realm.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's such a, oh man. I honestly, I don't want to talk about this anymore because like I am not an expert on either like paranormal findings or mental health.
Yeah.
And I know like I know my experience, and my experience has been always like severe anxiety, of course, depression, and like sometimes of like extreme stress where I'm like I hear things in the light bulbs because I'm so stressed, and I'm sleep deprived because I have 4 jobs. Like that has happened before, but like I've never dissociated past that. I've never had dissociative issues other than just like high stress in my life causing it. So I don't, yeah. You're right. The terminology between those two worlds do sound very similar sometimes, and it's really interesting.
Going back to the album, another song named The Moving Shapes and TV Static, I found this really interesting juxtaposed with my own work, because I was doing I still am doing it, I just haven't been posting on Instagram, but a kind of dream narrative comic strip called ZZZ.
Oh yeah.
And so it's, yeah, completely wordless, sometimes based on real things, sometimes not. And for a couple of the strips, when I kind of ran out of things to draw, I would turn on my CRT, turn it to one of the channels that's just static, and just kind of like scry into that and see kind of what shapes I could get out of that, whether that be like spinning pinwheels, whatever that may be, like rain, and kind of bringing that out and like using that to create scripts for the comic strip. And so, yeah, I was kind of wondering the influence on that song specifically, using CRT TV static as a source for information, and then also the kind of similarity between, just like sonically, between TV static and rain, because a lot of times in the album I was like, okay, this clearly sounds like TV static to me, and then other parts is like, oh, this feels like an ASMR like sleep track of someone recorded rain in a tent or something like that. So I'm curious your thoughts on that.
Oh man, I should have recorded rain. Oh god, why didn't I record rain? Yeah, like yeah, absolutely. The white noise of it is very, not only droning, but it is like that ASMR, like, oh, I could fall asleep to this. And it's nice, like, oh, you just gave me another idea for an album because I need to record rain. But yeah, so I want to tackle that first part of the talking about the chaos of static, and like how humans, like, you know, sometimes you're right, like look at it and be like, I see something in that. Cloud watching, like everyone cloud watches, everyone has cloud watched in their life, and you know, the first thing we do is imagine shapes in it, be it like koi fish or dragons or weird mouths, I don't know. Everyone does weird things with clouds. TV static is something that I've definitely done in my life when I was a kid, of like look at TV static and like see what the shapes are, and see if there's shapes in it. And yeah, it's such a weird thing to use, because it really is just like absolute random data. It's just complete random data. And it's, I mean, yeah, you use it in your art, so you know this. It's a really fun thing to use in glitch art and your techniques, because you can make you can, for me, you can bring down or up the contrast. You can lasso tool shapes and bring that out and bevel the edges, and then you've got like weird depth. It's such a fun one to play with. And doing that with audio, same thing. Like, you know, pitching it up or bringing more reverberance and fading in and fading out. It's not something the human brain necessarily looks for, especially in an album like this. So when it does rise or fall, it starts bringing more urgence to the other layers of the track. And it's a good background thing to try to, you know, ease tension or rise tension.
So how do you see the theme of the album kind of changing with the digital age? In one sense, as older technology is becoming more antiquated, so like static producing machines such as CRTs are becoming more aesthetically haunted. Simultaneously, things like static is becoming less and less of a universal experience for future generations, with having no grasp on this phenomena. So I'm wondering, kind of like you mentioned, like 90s, 80s TV and this kind of, I don't know if retrofuturism is the right word, but this definitely going into the past to create something new. And I'm wondering, where do you see kind of the future of this? Like, will future albums like this come out of like a haunted blue screen of death?
That's exactly what I was going to say, is the blue screen. Yeah, fully. Absolutely fully. Yeah. Well, you know that I do cyber demons and awful abominations of the digital age that we're falling into. And this is like I'm tapping my fingers together like a villain, because this is my up my alley. Yeah. So are we ever going to get something that is haunting or terrifying as static was for our generation? Because, you know, the poltergeist, like that is a absolutely terrifying scene, is the child in front of a fucking staticky TV with light everywhere. That is just awful, terrifying. What is this next generation going to fear with paranormal and tech? And blue screen of death for sure. Red lights, just in general, red lights are absolutely terrifying. I say, like, with that, you know, we could go to the Terminator, and like the red eyes are absolutely terrifying, but cameras with their lights on, like webcams with their lights on, if I ever saw my webcam have its light on, I'd freak the fuck out. Instantly freak the fuck out.
Yeah. I didn't even think of the red ring of death on like Xboxes too.
Oh yeah,
like if
that also happened.
And also like I use a MacBook, so the light for the webcam is green. But imagining one if it turned on its own, but then also if it just randomly turned red, you're like this is demonic.
Yeah, exactly. So I do think there's definitely hope for tech horror and analog horror in the future. So this is a side tangent, but I really want to talk about this. Is there such thing as going overtime on your
Not on my end, no.
Hell yeah, cool. So I went to Archon this year, and it's like the first year back from the pandemic, so that is a whole new ball game in itself. Not as many people as would normally pop up. I believe next year people are going to come back. But also it's an older crowd. For anyone knowing, it's a sci-fi convention created in the 70s in the Midwest. It's the biggest sci-fi convention of the Midwest. It was a literature convention, but so this is my first year. Seeing that, I did not see that because it's filled with LARP groups. It's filled with like all sorts of sci-fi. It's filled with cosplay. It's starting to evolve into like a general sci-fi. And that's really exciting for me because I do the weirdest sci-fi I've ever seen because I'm way too chaotic with my stuff. But going there really inspired me to think about like modern day sci-fi and all the weird sci-fi that I love, like analog horror, mostly cyberpunk, mostly cyberspace-based horror. And I kind of want to do a panel there, so I've got to like write a paper or write a video essay on this weird concept, and this is finally where my story is wrapping up. So, oh, damn it. You might be able to help me out here. There is a TV show that was created on an artist's book. And the it's like a coffee table book. It's like it's paintings they did, but it's like it's like a field, and there's two kids, and off in the distance is just a monolith of a creepy like sci-fi metal contraption with tubes going into the ground. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No. And this was turned into a TV show?
Yeah, it was turned into a TV show. So they took the they took the illustrations by this artist and made just like a TV show based off his illustrations, and it's the coolest damn thing ever. But it's very similar to that because it's an entire new world, and it has pieces of our world, but it's so alien to us. Going through this book is so amazing because you'll flip through and there will just be these weird things, and it's just the juxtaposition of this crazy sci-fi contraption in our modern day would be just outlandish and wild.
The book that Devin is trying to remember the name of is The Electric State by Simon Stalenhag. And it looks like it was turned into the Amazon original series Tales from the Loop.
This is the Data Moshed video from VISITANT on Channel 4. This track is Flickering Lights. So this is what I want to write about, and this is what I want to do like panels on, and possibly make like a video essay on. Is the horrors of automation, and like that in itself is kind of it's kind of a clickbaity title, because like horrors of automation, that's going to get people that are like anti-automation in the work industry, and that in itself is terrifying. Or, just how much our life is being taken over by automation and machines. But really what I want to talk about is, so let's say you do a story on, with the trope of like the last person on Earth, right? What is the world that they're going to see? And it could be in the next 30 years that automation is self-sufficient and does not need human interaction to keep itself up. And that kind of world would be absolutely terrifying to me, because waking up and there's bustling but no people is such an empty and scary and isolating feeling. So this track was made with AI generated content. And while I was working on this, I was thinking, man, it would be absolutely terrifying to see like a website or a YouTube series or just like a Bandcamp album that it's just an AI that someone set up on a server to just make AI generated content that was just as entertaining to look at and just constantly posted. And why is that terrifying to me? Because like when we're not around anymore, and this AI still is, what is it? What is the thoughts behind it? Like, is there an agenda? Probably not. It's just making weird content. What can you infer from it? What can you take from it? What are future generations going to see from our generation from AI generated content? And it just got me into this little world of like, what if you're the last person on Earth and you woke up to automation and you tried turning on a TV or a computer and everything still worked, but everything was just AI generated? Like, creepy.
Yeah, that'd be so terrifying.
Ugh. But yeah, that is a horror genre that I don't think anyone has like delved too far into, and I just want to make a video essay on that, because like, it's just so creepy.
That's probably what I'd like to do for the next step of my kind of art in the show, is like, how can I, because I've been doing like analog, and then with the latest device I got, the Wave Pool, it's like a Raspberry Pi, and so it's way more digital, but you can still plug the analog devices into it. And I'm like I'm such a like turning knobs type artist.
Yeah.
But it'd be interesting because I do have some video art friends who work with who do like VJing, who work in kind of setting up their own AI and applying it to different videos and getting glitches that way. So I'm curious to like learn that side of it.
Yeah. Oh man, if I come across any fun links, I'll send them to you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, God, I like, don't get me wrong, I love AI generated content. It's so fun, it's so creepy, it's so weird, it's so surreal. And this sci-fi concept, it's definitely just sci-fi. Like, it's just fantasy. I don't think our world will actually ever go into full automation where, news stations come back, but they're all AI generated. I don't know, maybe. But
I could definitely see misinformation going that way before, like, with the amount of just like actual fake news and like memes to like spread dissent among people.
So like, so I always want to say like, oh yeah, that's bot generated. But okay, so this is where my leftist brain is gonna go now. Like, yeah, I want to be like, oh yeah, it's bot generated, it's just AI. It's like, oh, blah blah blah. No, it's not, and that's the scarier part. Like, there are people behind these screens. There are living people, and that is way more terrifying than just like a bot out there posting on the internet. It's like, there's a face behind that screen. There's motive behind that screen. Not okay.
Yeah. So what is the origin of the name, the Schumann resonance?
Oh, so it's actually the letters from the Schumann resonance. But
Oh, my bad.
no, you're perfectly fine. Schumann resonance, like I don't know if it pops up enough. For I think my stuff might have better analytics. So Schumann resonance is I'm gonna get this wrong, aren't I? It's electromagnetic wave frequency of the Earth. Right? Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah. Quick little Google search to make sure I'm not an idiot. Yeah, it's well, I'll just read it straight from the Googles. The Schumann resonances are a set of spectrum peaks in the extremely low frequency portion of Earth's electromagnetic field spectrum. So yeah, it is. So there's a lot of pseudoscience around this, and a lot of like spiritualism, New Age spiritualism that goes into pseudoscience. That say like the Schumann resonance, like, you know, our brains produce like low frequency electromagnetic waves, and if the Earth does that interfere with us? Does this influence our consciousness? Does the Earth have a consciousness? And then it goes into deeper like the collective consciousness, and like, what is our soul? Is our soul these types of fields and waves? And what are auras? Are auras these types of fields and waves? So like, I know I do a lot of these themes, and especially in spiritualism, but I'm like a deep skeptic. Like, I love these themes, and I practice. I am a pagan, but I don't necessarily believe in ghosts. I don't necessarily believe in auras. It's possible, but I've never seen proof, and that's just how my brain works. But I love it. It's always such a fun thing to look at, especially like the collective unconscious and like consciousness. So that's where that part comes from. The letters from is like, this is a love letter. This is a love letter from the collective unconscious. This is a love letter from the Earth's consciousness. So that's the reasoning behind the name.
That's awesome. So when I first interviewed you a couple years back on my now defunct podcast, The End Is Nigh.
Oh yeah.
You were working on the video game Into the Depths, which at the time was called Technomancer.
Yeah.
And then later on our shared art show CGI Fridays, you did a walkthrough of your game Lucid Life.
Oh
And
yeah.
in both these games and your latest project, there are similar themes of a digital or technological afterlife, whether that be astral projecting into cyberspace, a choose your own adventure of the digital afterlife, or in the case of the new album, a haunted television set. So how do you personally kind of view the relationship of the themes between these projects?
Oh yeah. So that even goes back to my project's name, Letters from the Schumann Resonance, is there's a lot of unseen data all around us. There's a lot of unseen powers and waves and frequencies and all sorts of weird names like that. Like, we have electromagnetic waves. We have Wi-Fi and radio and radiation and all sorts of different crazy things that are just absolutely invisible to our eye, but we've now made devices that can see these and, more importantly, interpret data and send data and work with it, which is just absolutely insane to me. That's magic. That is absolute magic. Modern day magic for sure. But it kind of begs the question all the way back to, do humans have souls? And what is our consciousness? And are those two things related? And with that, if these devices are able to pick up, you know, invisible frequencies, invisible data, invisible waves, what else are they able to pick up? And do they interfere with us? And how much do they interfere with us? And I've always liked the idea of e-ghosts and cyber demons, and like the idea of your consciousness being digitized in a way. So these all definitely play with that wonderful idea of just ghost in the machine.
Absolutely. And the one last thing I have in my notes to touch on, I'd like to talk about your glitch art patterns asset project.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like we could fill a whole other episode talking about this, but if you could go a little bit into it for the viewers, since I assume some of the viewers are interested in making glitch art themselves, I'd love. I love how open the collaboration of this project is. If you want to kind of explain a little bit about it.
Yeah, for sure. So it's a collection of glitch art that I've made in the last 5 years. More of it's more recent because I just started going through my computer and I was like, man, there's so much stuff that I've just like only used for Instagram or for Facebook or for Twitter, like that I just like I made in a day and wanted to post. I was like, I'm not getting any use out of this. Like I'm not doing anything with these. I need to recycle these. I can't just throw them away. So I started putting them in a folder. And I just started collecting pieces that I was like, I'm not doing anything with this. Let's throw it in there. And then I was like, wow, I've got 80. Cool. So, so I was like, all right, well, let's make it like a good number. And let's post it. It's for free. There is donation because that's just how my business model is donation based. But it's just completely royalty free. Do whatever you want with it. It's some of my best work, in my opinion. It's just fun patterns and insane weird glitching, from data moshing to pixel sorting to there probably is some of my retro game glitching. I don't remember if there is or not because that was like a different computer way back in the way back. But yeah, it's just to get people. You can use it for anything. I really thought like graphic designers would use this for like cutout backgrounds for ads or whatever. And I posted on itch.io, so I know game designers are going to use it for like RPG backgrounds for sure. But yeah, whatever kind of weird, glitchy, Technicolor hell you need, I've got it. And yeah, I'd like to see what people come up with these textures.
How many frames did you say there were again?
There is 100 pieces, and then there's around like 50 like PNGs with transparency. I think I just like cut out shapes that I liked and posted them in there. Yeah, they're fun.
Yeah, it'd be cool to see like all of it together, like a full.
Oh yeah.
Just like each picture as a frame, like animation. I don't know what like frame rate you would do to like make not to be like too jarring, but I don't know, it would like be very cool.
I'd probably animate it on like 2s or 3s, but that gives me an idea. I think I'll have to do that now.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and play one more music video. This is 3 a.m. off of Visitant on Channel 4 by Letters for the Schumann Resonance. Cool. Is there anything else you want to add to the Halloween special of the Omnia Sol Art Show?
Can I plug some stuff?
Yes, absolutely. Please do.
Nice. So the 29th at Buzzbomb Brewery in Springfield, Illinois, I have an art show I'm hosting. That'll be super spoopy, super fun, super crappy. And then the day after, I'm in an art show at Arlingtons, like a block away, still in Springfield, for the Dark Arts art show. That'll be fun. I am actually... Oh, you know what? I didn't talk about the big thing of this project. Did I?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Did I tell you why I'm making videos for all the tracks?
No.
So, I should have said this way before. This is awesome. Okay, so all the tracks I'm putting together, and I've refurbished a 60s TV, and I'm going to be playing it on it.
Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah.
That's so at the show?
Yeah.
That's so cool. What were the dates again?
So 29th is the Buzzbomb Brewery one, and then the 30th is the Arlingtons show.
That's awesome. I'll have to check with my family, but I'm actually going to be in Springfield that weekend. So I will try to come out.
Yeah, absolutely. Please do. What else? Oh, so, the last thing I'll post on YouTube actually is, sort of music video for the whole album, where it is all of the videos played on an old CRT TV. So that'll be fun too.
That's awesome.
All right. Follow me on the internet. DVN
Cool.
Zook, Devin Larson. I don't know what other names I go by, but I probably have some aliases out there. Find me.
I'll have you, and then I can plug. I'll plug your Instagram, YouTube, Bandcamp, of course, and then I can go ahead and plug BTL Games as well.
Yeah, on Itch.io. I've got some fun stuff on there.
Awesome, cool. Yeah. Anything else you want to share with the audience before we take off?
No, I think that's it. I think we did this right.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining me for the Halloween special. This has been great.
Thank you for having me. This was awesome.
Forward in southern Georgia. So we'll focus in there, Georgia. That thunderstorm line is moving in there, Georgia. That thunderstorm line areas of Ohio by Washington areas of Ohio by